This teaching approach is based on the artifacts produced in ancient Egypt. But what we're doing is focusing the children's attention on the technologies that produce these objects. The Blacklands is down by the river, and by the River Nile, the ancient Egyptians had drinking water, they had water to grow their crops, and they could live. But look at the Redlands. No, thank you. Not so easy to live in. So we've got these two different environments. Now, you've looked at the objects in the gallery. You've seen what they're made of. Let's see if we can sort out where these raw materials would have come from, whether you think they came from the Blacklands or the Redlands. Who's got an object for me?
A wooden stool.
A wooden stool. Now, wood. Where would wood have come from, the Blacklands or the Redlands?
The Blacklands.
Good. So we've got wood from the Blacklands. Can you tell us why wood would have come from the Blacklands and not in the Redlands? What does wood need in order to grow?
Water.
Water. Another object made of something different? No?
Rock.
Rock. Can you see an object here made of rock?
Yeah.
Which one are you looking at?
That.
Yeah, this behind me. This is a gravestone made of rock. Where do you think the rock would have come from, the Blacklands or the Redlands?
The Redlands.
The Redlands. So we've got rock coming out of the desert. Good. So we've got some raw materials coming out of the Blacklands and some raw materials coming out of the Redlands. Well done. So you found out a lot about raw materials. But to make an object, you have to change the raw materials in all sorts of ways. I'm going to show you an activity now where you're going to find out how many changes the ancient Egyptians had to make to the raw materials in order to make an object.
Moulding, definitely. Yeah, heating and melting.
Who can tell me what changes we have to do to that plant to get to our piece of paper?
You have to cut them up and then you can weave them.
Do you think there's something else we might have to do to get a nice flat piece of paper?
So this is a mummy. I don't know if that's what you expected to see, but it's a real mummy. And inside those wrappings is a body of a real ancient Egyptian who was alive over 2,000 years ago. He was somebody's dad, maybe, somebody's brother, maybe, who knows? Now, you told me I would be put in a coffin. So were the ancient Egyptians. Can you see a coffin anywhere? Yeah? Where's a coffin? There's a coffin. Can you see another coffin? There's another coffin. Can you see another coffin? There's another coffin. But no one pointed at that. No, because it's not a coffin. But I wonder what it is. Good. Now, all I want you to do is have a look at this and tell me exactly what you can see. What is it?
Statue.
A statue is a good description of it, but I want to know exactly what you can see. What's it a statue of? What's there?
A pharaoh.
Well, you're absolutely right. This is a pharaoh. It's Ramesses III, who was one of the greatest pharaohs of Egypt. But it's not just a statue. This is his sarcophagus lid. But what's a sarcophagus, anyway? Yes?
It's what the mummies go inside.
It's what the mummies go inside. Absolutely right. The mummy goes inside the coffin. And then, if you're very important, the coffin goes inside a stone sarcophagus. Layers and layers of protection. Now, look at this rock. Now, think back to our raw materials. Where do you think the granite came from? Yes?
Quarry.
From a quarry, you're absolutely right. Now, this is a map of Egypt. There's the Nile, just the one river. And can you see I've got a red dot there? That's the Valley of the Kings, where Ramesses was buried in his tomb. And there's two green dots. Those are two granite quarries. One's near the Nile, and the other's a long way from the Nile. Which would you choose if you had to get this lump of rock to work on? At the back.
The one near the Nile.
So would I. The one near the River Nile, absolutely, but all the same. Here's a quarry. This is a photo of an Egyptian quarry. Just imagine the heat working in there. The ancient Egyptians had to get lumps of rock like this out of cliff faces like that. 7 tons of granite lying on the quarry floor, and now you've got to move it. First, you've got to move it to the Nile. Then you've got to move it up the Nile to get to the Valley of the Kings. But the worst bit is moving it across the ground to the Nile.
I don't mind if you want to do plan view or side views. You might want to do more than one view.
So they should be about there then.
Lumps of wood on top of the camel, and then the camel.
How many people do you think you'd actually need? Thousands of Egyptians to do it.
It's easier when the sand's swirling because it doesn't get stuck.
And then how are these logs going to move?
When it makes it slushy so it can move with sand.
Okay, you did brilliantly. You've got some fantastic ideas. Let's see what you've done. Who'd like to feedback? Okay, let's have this group first.
We would have some wooden logs, we use them as rollers, and we would pull it along with some donkeys or camels at the front, and the rope would be made of leather and fine things. In front of them we'd have some people wetting the sand for less friction, and when the logs came out the end, we'd have some men back here to move the logs to the front again. And there could be a problem getting this across the Nile. The quarry was here, pyramid here, and the Nile was going in the opposite direction to the way you wanted.
Maybe we'll think about that a little bit later, but that's a very good set of solutions. Thanks very much. And another group. Up you get.
And what we thought is that we could put the stone on this here. We've made it out of wood, and we would get slaves so they could push, like, because there's logs under it, and they could roll it.
Yeah.
And some other slaves are chucking water on it, make it move. And this is,
So you're making a track.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so that's quite a different solution to the rollers. Now, you've had these amazing ideas. This afternoon, we're going to test them. You're going to do some experiments which will give you the chance to test whether they will work or not.
But how do they get the papyrus reeds to work like polystyrene?
They could have bundled them up.
So bundle them together, okay. And why would that work? Why does that make it? Yeah.
Wouldn't it be buoyant?
Say that word again.
Buoyant.
Buoyant. Okay. What does that mean?
When it's got air inside, it makes it float.
Ah. Okay. Fine. Well, all right. As we understand that we didn't have polystyrene, but we could have used papyrus reeds. Let's see if it works. Off we go. Squeeze round. Oh. Look at that, wonderful stuff. Okay, how are you going to improve that? Oh, it's floating, you've done a job.
Cover the whole
Yeah.
because water's coming in.
There's some water coming in, so we need to make the edges waterproof. Any other ways that you might improve it? Let's say if we wanted to make it more like an ancient Egyptian boat rather than a modern day boat. What might you do to replace the polystyrene? What could you use to model like the papyrus?
Art straws.
You could use something like art straws. That'd be really good. Okay. Well, perhaps next week we'll get on to that. Otherwise, well done. It's really good.
They need a sledge as well to put the statue on. So we try. Let's see if it works this time. working.
So we're doing the experiment. We started off with sand with no water in, and then we added some water, and what happened to it?
It got stronger.
It got stronger. So now we're making up sand and water to make a shape of a pyramid so that we can see how strong it is, and we're going to have to put 5 bricks on the top to see if it'll hold.
Are you ready with your extra prop?
Yep.
If it works?
Yep.
Cameron, see what happens if you let go and just support it underneath.
It's lifting.
Is it lifting?
It's lifting a bit.
Are you holding it, Cameron?
No, it's not.
Wait, there we go.
I can't get mine under. I can't get it under.
I can if I really force it. Yes. Hey,
Got mine.
brilliant. Okay.
Make some more bricks. Try a second one. Put that on the top, see if it'll hold gently. 2.
Okay, you've managed to get your brick to the top of the step pyramid. Well done. A lot of trouble, a lot of work I saw earlier on. Can you just explain a bit about what you do and how it works? Because you seem to be working very hard at this. Do you want to talk through some of the things that you found out, how it worked?
Well, it took 460 grams and a lever to lift the 2 kilogram brick up to the next level, and the falcon was a centimetre higher each time.
Okay. And do you want to talk a bit about the materials that you're using? What are these little bits of wood up the side there? Just tell me what they were for.
They were like to hire the brick every time that when the brick goes up on where the lever and the weights push it up, and 2 people from each side put the brick in once it was high.
So then slide them underneath. Just shows us on the diagram. Can you just show us what this picture shows us?
These are the fulcrums.
Yeah.
And we had the lever.
Yeah.
Had to put the weights on. And then when the brick was on there, and then when we had enough room to put it in, we put the blocks in.
Yeah. And then finally you were able to push it across, so you've got it from there up to there and pushed it across. That's brilliant. Were there any problems that you actually managed to solve, things that you were finding almost impossible, which you managed to solve in the end?
It was really hard to keep the blocks steady and lifting the brick so it wouldn't fall over. And without the blocks falling down when we were lifting the brick with the thing. And if we got the right amount of weights to put it up. So that was really hard.
Actually, just gauging how much weight to put on. What would happen if you put too much weight on the lever?
The brick will
blocks will all fall over and we'll have to start again.
There was just so much weight that they couldn't take it. And what would have happened? I mean, imagine, let's take it up to the full scale, right? 7-ton block of limestone, big lumps of wood, real people, not little weights, real people shifting about. What would have happened if suddenly it had collapsed?
They'll get seriously injured.
Yes, and how seriously injured and killed. And you can imagine just how many people did get seriously injured and killed just from doing it using this light equipment. Well done.
Hey,
got mine.
Brilliant. Okay.
The activities that we did today would completely stand alone. That we could have gone to the museum and that would have been a wonderful experience. We could have come here to Homerton and done the science experiments. But the fact that they had the 2 things together, linking the subjects, really enriched it, gave it excellence and enjoyment, and gave the children a whole rounded experience.